Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. We have a new news article that I want to get into that I published on dailypalantir.com, which involves the relationship between the NHS, the National Health Service in the UK, and Palantir. Now, Palantir has a long-standing relationship with the NHS. The NHS called them in 2019 in the middle of the pandemic, 2020, to deal with vaccine and COVID distribution and being able to make sure that they could actually distribute vaccines and mitigate the harms of COVID using data analytics, integration, workflows, etc. Palantir stepped up to the challenge. They did an amazing job, which landed them a 2-year, $34 million contract that is expiring in December of 2022. An article came out in March from the Financial Times that shows that Palantir's integration with the UK is going very well. They're saving patients an average of 28% in terms of their waiting time to get their surgeries or to get into meeting doctors. And the reason this matters is because there's massive levels of backlog in the UK because the UK has a national health service. They don't have privatized health services. We kind of know in general when things are private, they're a little bit more efficient, faster. When the government owns them, they're a little bit harder, they're more backlogged. So as a result of having this sort of universal healthcare in the UK, there needs to be a lot of universal methods of data, analytics, and integration of data to actually be able to allow patients and doctors and scheduling and all of this stuff to be cohesive and make sense. As a result of that, Palantir has been intimately working with the UK and the NHS to actually create a meaningful data product for them so that they could have a better healthcare service. Well, we've got some good news, and it's going to be interesting to see how this turns out. Is Palantir about to get $260 million from the NHS? The NHS has announced a plan to develop a €240 million, which is $260 million, federated data platform, an FDP, via a prior information notice ahead of open procurement. So if you go to this website right here, this was kind of like the official press release thing. NHS England has announced plans to develop this FDP, and the notice states that the data platform will be an essential enabler to transformational improvements across the NHS and will be an ecosystem of technologies and services. And that's the part that's really interesting. If the NHS is trying to introduce an ecosystem of technology and services, that means they are trying to modernize and truly digitize and integrate the like ability for their healthcare system to actually be efficient and effective. It's so interesting because as I've been releasing videos on the NHS and the UK's sort of relationship with Palantir, so many people have been commenting that we need something like this from the UK. So many people are like, it's horrible. The NHS sucks. Like just scheduling an appointment. So if I wanted to schedule an appointment right now with an eye doctor because I need to get an eye exam, which I did like a month ago, it was pretty easy, right? I just called them up and I was like, hey, I need to and I just scheduled it and I went in there. But that's because it's a private company, right? They work with your insurance, but it's all operating by itself. When everything's nationalized and when you got to go through the bureaucracy of the government being able to create it, it gets a little bit harder. So you could understand why the UK wants to keep their universal healthcare. Those are the values they believe in, but they also need to make it actually work, because if it doesn't work and people are sick, they're not going to be happy with you as the government, right? So you need to fix this problem. This is not a problem that you can't just fix by not doing anything about it. Now, the magazine reported the new data platform will be built around 5 major use cases, each wide-ranging in scope. And here are the 5. Population health and person insight, care coordination, effective recovery or electric recovery, vaccines and immunization, and supply chain. Now, these two were the big ones that made sense to me, vaccines and supply chain. This matters for Palantir primarily because the magazine reported that vaccines and supply chains would be integrated into this data set. Palantir was responsible for the entire NHS vaccine distribution and has helped numerous companies with their supply chain concerns. So when you're talking about supply chains, you're talking about the syringes or the gloves or the masks or all these different things that need to be in every single hospital, right? Hospitals need to have needles. Hospitals need to have bandages. Hospitals need to have tons of emergency supply kits. There's all these raw materials and supply chains that need to be integrated with hospitals, because if a patient gets into a hospital and you don't have an extra needle because for some reason the supply chains are backed up and there's a bureaucratic system that didn't effectively get the needles on time, that sucks, because then that patient can't get the care that they need. And the whole point of a hospital is that if someone's in dire care or even they mediocre care for something, then you got to be able to take care of them, right? That's the whole point of it. If you can't take care of them, the entire structure of a society falls apart, because then people don't even feel like they can get basic healthcare. And the whole point of the UK is to give basic healthcare to people. So those are supply chain integrations that Palantir can solve, because we know Palantir can solve supply chain problems. This is Palantir's whole bread and butter, right? Shyam Sankar just did an interview the other day with Emily Chang from Bloomberg, and he literally said, as a result of the Ukrainian-Russia crisis, we've been working with Russian companies, and we've been working with companies that have supply chains in Russia, even though we don't want to help them get through this stuff, because this stuff is really bad as a result of what's happened. BMW was one of the auto companies that he named. So now this magazine doesn't say Palantir is getting the contract. This magazine says that the NHS has put out this notice that they're ready to provide $260 million to sort of create this contract. I don't know if all of it's going to go to Palantir, but the NHS has put the money on the table that they're ready to spend this on modernizing their digital health services for the NHS. So when they name supply chains and vaccines, which are the two of the five main components of what they're looking to be able to resolve, that screams Palantir to me. Supply chains, obviously, because of what I just talked about, and the vaccines, who distributed vaccines during the worst pandemic of the past 100 years in the UK? It was Palantir, right? So it's like that pretty much makes sense. Now, the magazine also reported, Digital Health News understands that the front runner for the FDP is widely assumed to be the existing data platform provider Palantir, which has also been working extremely closely with the NHS England on the provision of a national health NHS data platform throughout the pandemic. So I wrote that the NHS needs an integrated data system across all hospitals and service providers they have. Since the UK has nationalized healthcare, it has led to more inefficiencies because private companies don't have as much power. As a result of being state-controlled, the state needs to organize the vast amount of data that exists quickly, effectively, and immediately. Palantir has the relationship working with the NHS and would seem like the obvious choice. And the other core reason for this, again, is Palantir has shown they can do it. They landed a smaller contract for a test pilot and has the ability to integrate immediately with the NHS, since they already have done so for vaccines, which is the other core reason here. And this is sort of the last 2 points I'm going to make, that if they need to get this done now and within a couple weeks to get it up and running, get it set up, all that stuff, Palantir is ready to go. They're already working with you. The contract's going to expire in December 2022, so they've already been building a lot of these products. They know what it takes to work with a government-based healthcare system because they've been working with the UK for the past 2 years. It's going to be almost 3 years soon. So it's like they understand how to get this up and running. They have the engineers, they have the talent, they have the infrastructure. So if they were to, if the NHS were to be like, all right, by August, we need this up and running, Palantir could get to work immediately. They just obviously need to get this contract done, right? So if the NHS were to give this contract to another service provider, it would be incredibly interesting for who they pick, right? Like, who else are you going to pick? And that would be I would really want to know what other company could do all 5 of the things you're talking about in regards to supply chains, vaccines, electric recovery, care condition, population health, and person insight. What other organization could actually integrate the amount of data and workflows and analytics you need for all 5 of those events that is in Palantir? I mean, I would be very interested to know who's going to be able to do that. Final thing is that Palantir is also working with the UK government on their Ukrainian refugee crisis, right? So this is an article I did a while back, and Shyam Sankar, the COO, confirmed it on the interview he did the other day. But on the Ukrainian government website, they said that the DLUHS and the Home Office have appointed a third-party company, Palantir, to assist with the coalition analysis and support relating to the expressions of interest in the matching of potential sponsors with applicants once sponsor expressions of interest and visa applications have been received. Meaning that, like, the Ukrainian refugee crisis is being managed in terms of the data of matching refugees with actual sponsors in the UK that could host those refugees, which is a big data problem, by Palantir. So Palantir is working with the UK. They've worked with the UK NHS for the past 2.5 years. They now have the ability to actually create an integrated system at scale. It seems very unlikely to me that another company gets this contract. Maybe Palantir doesn't get all $260 million, but they should get a decent amount of it if the NHS is looking to create this holistic integrated system, which would be awesome, because that's like $250 million coming to Palantir. That would be an awesome contract to land, and it would make the net dollar retention go even higher, just given the fact that they're getting so many more existing dollars from existing clients that they already have. So really, really cool stuff. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you think the NHS is going to pick Palantir on this. I really don't think there's another company to pick, but it would be surprising to see if they go with a different company. It seems like this is gonna go to Palantir. So we will see in the next couple months. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your comments. Let me know what you think about the NHS system integration with Palantir, and I'll see you on the next one.